Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. For Telesur, I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas. To begin today's headline, Spaniards have voted for a change in Sunday's elections. Now, although historic popular and socialist parties who have been alternating in the exercise of power since the restoration of democracy, although they won most of the votes, they both fell short of an absolute majority. Conservative Popular Party won 123 of the 305 congressional seats, a major drop from the 186 it won in last elections in 2011. Now, the Socialist Party gained 91 seats, losing 20 since the last elections. And the third power was newcomer Podemos, who got 69 seats. Now, the other newcomer, Ciudadanos, contradicted all the previous polls and could only be fourth with 40 seats. Now, it is the turn of PACs, with all parties doing the sums to see how they can take advantage of these results. Podemos' leader Pablo Iglesias, whose party won those 69 seats, he has already set certain conditions for his party to support any candidate.
Spain has voted for a change of system, and this has a number of necessary constitutional implications, which cannot be postponed. First, social rights must be respected. That is essential and cannot be postponed. We also demand a reform of the electoral system so that it adapts to the system of proportionality established by the Spanish Constitution. This cannot be postponed, and it is absolutely necessary.
Outgoing Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy, whose party won most of the votes, said that he will try to form a government.
I am going to try and form a government, and I think that Spain needs a stable government. A lot of things have been done over these past 4 years. Spaniards have made a lot of efforts. We now need to preserve what has been done in the last 4 years.
Prior to the elections, most of the other parties had said they would not give their support to ruling Mariano Rajoy after his austerity measures left the country with worse unemployment and poverty rates. Now, Socialist Organizational Secretary repeated that after the elections.
¿Y el Partido Socialista?
The Socialist Party, out of prudence and responsibility, will have a clear position. The Spanish people have voted for change, and also the left, and we will translate the vote of the Spanish people in the votes and votes of confidence.
Las sesiones de investidura o en la sesión.
And we turn to Latin America now. Mercosur countries are meeting in Paraguay to discuss a possible free trade deal with the European Union early next year. Now, Mercosur, formed by Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, and Venezuela, is seeking a deal to reach the European Union market, as well as the Pacific Alliance grouping Chile, Colombia, Mexico, and Peru. A trade deal with the EU would link two of the world's biggest markets, the Mercosur region of nearly 300 million inhabitants and the EU of over 500 million. Colombian President Juan Manuel Santos, along with Justice Minister Yacir Reyes and Defense Minister Luis Carlos Villegas, signed on Saturday the special jurisdiction for peace that will judge those who committed crimes during the 50-year war with the FARC. Now, this special jurisdiction will be different for the Colombian Army and the FARC members. That's because the armed forces defend Colombians within the scope of the Constitution and respecting the laws legitimately. Now, this despite the so-called false positives extrajudicial executions in which soldiers presented civilians dressed as guerrilla members in order to obtain certain benefits. Now, Santos recognized that he did not discuss the document with the FARC.
To our armed forces and the counterpart, the FARC, whom we are negotiating the peace process with, the end of the conflict.
2015 has been a year of big success in the peace process between the FARC guerrillas and the Colombian government. Our correspondent Natalia Margarita now has a recap of some of those achievements over the past year.
Yearnings for peace mobilized thousands across Colombia this year. Meanwhile, in Havana, efforts were being intensified to push forward a peace process that has advanced much further than any other previous negotiations with the FARC insurgency.
Los garantes acompañarán.
Considered by many as the most pressing issue of the talks, an agreement on the point of justice and victims came as a major breakthrough.
This is an historic advance. It's the chance for truth and acknowledgement to be central, to be the first stage of reparation. And it has to be that way because victims' reparations could not be understood without acknowledging first what has really happened in Colombia.
Within an agreement based on reparations, guarantees of non-repetitions and truth for the victims, all actors that have been involved are now expected to acknowledge their responsibility in a conflict that has left over 7 million victims and deep wounds. After 30 years of one of Colombia's most traumatic events, President Santos accepted the state responsibility and apologized for the forced disappearances during the 1985 military retake of the Palace of Justice.
Hoy reconozco la responsabilidad del Estado.
In a much more private and far more significant ceremony for the victims, the FARC asked the people of Bojayá for forgiveness for the 2002 events, when a homemade projectile aimed at paramilitary troops exploded instead in a church, killing dozens.
Por quienes ojalá algún día seamos perdonados.
Harm caused to the community and its members is literally irreparable. This does not mean that we can't get beyond the past or that the recognition of the victims cannot lead to their empowerment and their future projection.
On the way to strengthen the confidence of society towards the peace process, a joint operation between the army and the FARC to start clearing landmines was also agreed in Havana. It was the first time Colombia was seeing battlefield enemies working together to create conditions of peace in the rural war zones. The humanitarian cost of war diminished to levels unseen in a long time, as FARC also complied with a series of unilateral truces, which the government responded to by halting airstrikes.
Many lives have been saved and calm has returned to many places across the country. This no doubt has to do with the FARC's decision to advance in a unilateral ceasefire and in general all the peace process that Havana has brought.
Nothing is agreed until everything is agreed is the principle of the negotiations in which a final peace deal has yet to be reached. However, this year brought for many a slight glimpse of a Colombia other than the one at fierce war. Natalia Margarita, Telesur, Colombia.
The release of the final results of the October elections in Haiti brought with them a wave of violence on Saturday that left one person killed and a building destroyed by fire in the capital there of Port-au-Prince. Now, Haitians have been protesting what they consider an electoral fraud since November. Several government buildings and elections offices were set ablaze in several towns across the country, and an 18-year-old protester was fatally shot when two factions clashed in the streets. The final results were released just 1 week ahead of the presidential and legislative runoffs to be held this Sunday. And we go to Panama now, where scores of protesters, they marched on the U.S. Embassy in Cardenas to mark the 26th anniversary of the United States invasion there. Now, on December 20th, 1989, during the administration of George H.W. Bush, tens of thousands of U.S. troops entered Panama, then under the control of former U.S. ally General Manuel Noriega. Noriega was deposed on January 3rd and taken to the U.S. as a prisoner of war. Over 500 Panamanian civilians were killed, along with 200 Panamanian soldiers. The government announced it will form a special independent commission to investigate the invasion, which will be defined by the victims' relatives together with human rights experts. Airstrikes believed to have been carried out by Russian warplanes killed scores of people in the center of the rebel-held city Idlib in northwest Syria on Sunday. Now, residents and rescue workers said at least 6 airstrikes hit a busy marketplace in the heart of the city, several government buildings and residential areas. Rescue workers said they had confirmed 43 people had died, but that at least 30 more bodies had been retrieved that had still to be identified. Over 150 people were wounded, with some of the serious cases sent to hospitals in Turkey. 91 people are missing in southern China after a landslide swept through an industrial park and buried more than 30 buildings in what is a sea of mud, and it also triggered a gas explosion there. Now, according to the official newspaper of the Ministry of Land and Resources, the landslide was caused by the improper storage of waste soil from construction sites. Witnesses described a mass of red earth and mud racing towards the park in the city of Shenzhen, and huge waves there before burying or crushing homes and factories. More than 1,500 emergency workers were involved in the rescue, and 104 fire engines were dispatched. Debris covered more than 10 hectares. Smog continues to blanket the skies of China's capital, Beijing and Shanghai, with both cities' pollution surpassing the level of very unhealthy there. Now, on Friday, the government had warned residents across a large part of its north to prepare for severe smog arriving over the weekend, prompting the capital to issue its second ever red alert. Now, a red alert is triggered when the government believes air quality will surpass a level of 200 on an index that measures various pollutants for at least 3 days. Now, as of 2 p.m. local time, the air quality index reading was 273. Electronics company Toshiba has warned that it would book a record annual loss of $4.5 billion, and it will slash thousands of jobs. Now, the moves are part of a restructuring that was announced in the wake of an embarrassing accounting scandal that rocked one of Japan's best-known firms. Investors dumped Toshiba shares in response to a weekend report about the eye-watering loss, which was confirmed after markets closed Monday. The stock tumbled 9.8% to end at $2.10 before the official news. The company, which has about 200,000 employees globally, said it would cut 2,800 jobs from its memory chip division and is also stopping production of televisions overseas. The Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine has held a rally in Gaza City to pay their respects to Hezbollah commander Samir Kuntar, killed by an Israeli airstrike in his home in Damascus on Saturday. Now, attendees also expressed their solidarity with Palestinian detainees in Israeli prisons, holding numerous posters depicting Palestinian detainees while saying prayers. Now, roughly 7,000 people of Palestinian ethnicity remain imprisoned in Israeli detention facilities, of which 430 are minors. 2,400 of them have been detained since October of this year.
I suffer from psychological stress. I haven't slept for a year and a half. I'm not sleeping well. I can't sleep at all. I'm feeling really bad. I'm really tired, much more than him.
A tour bus carrying 24 people crashed in northern Thailand's Chiang Mai province on Sunday morning, killing 14 Malaysian tourists and injuring 12 others. Now, police are investigating the exact cause of this accident, which is believed to have been the bus roof, which was deformed there. Now, this is also affecting the rescue work. The day after the release of the youngest of the men convicted of the 2012 gang rape of a woman on a bus in New Delhi, in a case that shocked the nation there, the Supreme Court of India has said that it has no power to detain him after 3 years in custody. Now, the two judges said in their ruling that everything had happened in accordance with the law, adding they needed legislative sanctions to take any further action. A rape is reported in India every single 20 minutes. Banned FIFA leader Sepp Blatter has announced he will appeal against his 8-year ban by the World Soccer Body's Ethics Committee. Now, the Swiss added he would take his objections to FIFA's appeals body, go before the Lausanne-based sports arbitration panel CAS, or take legal action under Swiss law if needed. Now, both him and European soccer boss Michel Platini are banned from soccer for ethics violations, leaving the global game leaderless as it fights a swirl of corruption cases. The pair, who were also fined, have also been suspended in October while an investigation was carried out into an over $2 million payment that soccer's global governing body made to Platini in 2011 with Blatter's approval.
We go immediately once again to the appeal committee. We go to the TAS, Tribunal Arbitral du Sport. We go also to, that's another, to Swiss, the rights of Switzerland. I'm a Swiss citizen. You know, if in the Swiss law you would be suspended for 8 years, you must have committed something very, very, very important. Very important.
A 12-meter-high tree installation made entirely of recycled windows welcomes the Christmas spirit in the Estonian town of Rakvere. Now, the tree is composed of 121 recycled windows filled with colorful glass and lights, outlining silhouettes of people in some of the windows, inhabitants of imaginary apartments that the authors wanted to reach into. Children dance around the colorful installation to the sound of Christmas carols, and most residents admire with tradition. And finally today, huge electric lanterns entertain villagers and tourists during a holiday festival in San Fernando City in Pampanga province in the Philippines on Saturday evening. The annual Giant Lantern Festival featured 11 giant lanterns and measured at least 20 feet in diameter. It drew a large crowd there, which saw the lanterns light up in colors and patterns, often in sync with Christmas music. The lanterns can take over 3 months to build and are created from a range of colored cellophane wrappers to mollusk shells, coupled with thousands of light bulbs that were configured to light up in time with certain Christmas songs. That's what we're covering on this Monday afternoon, here from Caracas. Plenty more on all of those stories and others at our website. Check it out, telesurtv.net/English. For Telesur English, I'm Cody Weddle. Have a great day.